evening and good to have you with us on the special edition of The Last Word, where we've got two debates lined up for you and two exclusive conversations from the national capital. Let's begin with the first one. Earlier today, our executive editor, Faye D'Souza, got into a conversation with Sheila Dikshit, Congress's candidate from Delhi this election season, and of course the former Chief Minister of Delhi. As part of the election conversation, we also asked her about the crime rate, about crime against women in Delhi. Of course, as part of that conversation, then the Nirbhaya case popped up. And Sheila Dikshit made a very shocking and disappointing remark. She said that the media had blown the entire case out of proportion, that such crimes happen regularly in our country. They often feature just as a small article in the newspapers. It's only in that specific case that it was blown out of proportion. Now, my question is, for a woman candidate, for any candidate who's looking to get our votes this election season, who's looking to become our member of parliament from our national capital, should she be making these comments? And what does that show about her state of mind, her mindset towards battling crime in the national capital? As a candidate who wants our vote, should Sheila Dikshit actually turn around and say, well, I don't have a solution yet, let me first get to the parliament? Because then I would turn around and say, Ms. Dikshit, if you want our vote, you better have a plan in place as to how you will improve security for women in the national cabinet, but in the national parliament. But before we go to the big debate, here is a slice of that exclusive conversation with Faye D'Souza.
The issue of corruption and safety, law and order, safety for women, the Nirbhaya case, which you remember quite well, happened in your tenure. Are there solutions that you will offer the city for these two problems?
May I ask you one thing?
Yes.
Who is responsible for women being troubled? Who is responsible? Society?
It is the police's job to prevent
No,
crime.
no, of course it is. The political job comes in to punish them and punish them as per law.
Yes.
So that's a punishment. If you commit a murder, you're punished for it. So it's the same thing here. And you just do it because it's somebody else's this thing. And you have one standard for one lot and another standard for another. To me, that is not acceptable.
No, I don't understand what you mean. What lots are you talking about?
I'm talking of, say, that if there is a rape, sometimes you ignore rapes. Just a little thing in the newspaper comes. Little children being raped or others being raped. And one was made into a political scandal, which we suffered from. I agree it should not have happened. Certainly it should not have happened. But one became this thing and the rest of it was just ignored. So my point, the point I'm making to you is that there should be a uniformity of doing what you do.
So Faye raises the question of women's security, of what happened during Nirbhaya's case and what should the solution be, and look where that conversation went. Now, many will say that's not surprising. This is Sheila Dikshit. This is not the first time she's made such a comment. In fact, I pulled out 3 other comments that she made back in 2012 and even before that in 2008. Now, let's look at those comments again just to refresh our memory, because it's important to understand that this politician doesn't seem to have changed her mind or opened up to the idea that she as a chief minister or a member of parliament from Delhi can do something about this problem. Not my job to appoint a police commissioner or take him away. It is the job of the Home Ministry, is what she said when she was questioned about the Nirbhaya case and what the government will do and should do. She said, well, the Delhi police is not under me, it's under the centre. It's not my job. I can't do anything about it. Let's go on to the other comment that she made at the same time. Why are you putting it all on the politicians? Why not on many other things? And this is where she goes on to blame the people and the society, and she says, why not put it on all other things? Now, here is the third comment, and this was in 2008 when another big case of murder had happened, and she said all by herself till 3 a.m. in a city where people believe, you know, you should not be so adventurous. So here was the Chief Minister who was telling the women of Delhi at that point of time that this is Delhi, this is how things are, don't get out at 3 a.m., don't be so adventurous. There was a massive outrage even at that point of time. So let's go across to our guests and ask them this question. Should Sheila Dikshit, when she is asking for our votes, be making these kind of comments? What can we then expect from her as far as women's security and safety is concerned? And Vinayak Dalmia of the Congress Party joining me, Karuna Nundy, lawyer with the Supreme Court, and Brinda Dige, social activist. And Vinayak Dalmia, I want to come to you first. Is this fair? You know, do you support the comments that Sheila Dikshit has made today?
Tanvi, what happened during the Nirbhaya case is extremely unfortunate, and till today it personally saddens me. I was a very young person then, I was on the street as well during that time, and there was outrage, there was sadness, and there was complete chaos in the city. And yes, it should not have happened, and yes, more should happen as far as prevention for such events are concerned, as far as women's safety is concerned. Yes, every street light should be lit. Yes, there should be CCTV. Yes, the police should be more vigilant. And yes, I will go even further. Yes, the public transportation needs to be more sensitive, whether it is the buses, whether it is your taxi drivers. In fact, yes, there should be even women drivers in these buses to make women passengers feel more safe and secure. Moving on to your particular comment on the former Chief Minister and Sheila Dikshit ji's statements, I have seen the entire interview that your colleague and your correspondent took. And I am sorry, but I think there is a slight misinterpretation of what she was trying to say.
What is the correct interpretation?
She was merely highlighting a technical point.
Which is what?
That,
she said the media blew it out of proportion, that we
you allow me
chose
to
to
finish,
highlight this case.
She
said we chose to highlight this case, whereas we choose to ignore many other cases which happen every day, that this has been blown out of proportion. Now, you yourself, I will let you make the other point, but to the point that you made right now, Vinayak, that you yourself said it's an unfortunate statement. You yourself were on the streets. Everybody at that point of time was outraged by the brutality of this specific case. So then to say this happens all the time, you blew it out of proportion, is that right?
Tanvi, in Nirbhaya, every one of us saw our sister, saw our mother, potentially saw our daughter. So please make no mistake about it. Every one of us across the citizenry of India, across the political class. So let's not get confused on that. What I am saying is this particular interview that she gave to your channel, to your colleague, is being misinterpreted. What did she say? She said that it is the Delhi police is not within the jurisdiction of the state government. That is a point in fact. And as far as law and order in Delhi is concerned, that is a subject matter of the Home Ministry, and that is a subject matter of the central ministry, the central government. That is a statement in fact. You can, if you want, misinterpret that or misunderstand what she's trying to say. Go behind the spirit of what she's trying to say. The spirit of what she's trying to say is the following, that as far as law and order in Delhi is concerned, specific to Delhi police, that is the jurisdiction of the Home Ministry.
That never should you question, that never does the Congress party question the current Delhi government on what's happening on women's safety and security issues. Do we not question them on the CCTV plan? Do we not question them on better lighting in the city? Do we not question them on better public transport and safer public transport? Now, Vinayak, if you have seen the entire interview, that's fine. But let me tell our viewers also, 1 minute please. Let me also tell our viewers who may not have watched the entire clip, that interview that went out at 8:30 this evening, that at one point Ms. Sheila Dikshit says, well, what is your solution? I don't have one. Let me get to the parliament first and then I will see about it. To which my executive editor of our channel says, where when I think of a solution, I would say more CCTVs, I would say better street lighting, I would say safer public transport, verification of the drivers of these buses. Now, these are the things that I want my candidate to be telling me. Brinda DK, do you think it's fair that the candidate is telling me today, I don't have a plan yet,
Now,
it's the centre's problem, I'm not yet an MP, so don't ask me about it right now.
I think that's absolutely an irresponsible response that has been given, because Sheila Dikshit is a seasoned veteran politician. She has been the Chief Minister of Delhi and she knows what it takes to make the city safe. Now, she could have, for the sake of conversation, for the sake of our interview, she could have talked about her plans. So what? She could have talked about all the recommendations that have come for so many years from so many people. She could have talked about how the state has the responsibility, the government has the responsibility to extend every protection and safety to the citizens and especially to women. And making such a callous remark that the Nirbhaya case was a small thing blown out of proportion is absolutely unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable, because it was this particular case where the perpetrators, the rapists, the murderers were actually apprehended all together. Nobody went absconding, because almost every other case, that rape case that we listen to, that we hear about, we find that the person is absconding. Yeah. And in this particular case, the police did act very, very quickly.
Yes, no, and you know, to the other point that she made about you pick this lot versus that lot, whereas rapes are happening every day in this country. Well, the fact of the matter is that once in a while, to remind our politicians that rapes are happening in this country every day, that they cannot just be another story on a channel or a small story on a newspaper, we have to highlight the brutality. Otherwise, they just refuse to even accept that this has become such a big problem. Yes, Vinay, go ahead, please, before I go to Karuna Nundy. Go ahead. What do you want to say?
Tanvi, I will agree with everything you have said as far as the measures a government can take. In certain cases, those are the jurisdiction of the state government. In certain cases, those are the jurisdiction of the central government. But as far as should Delhi have more CCTVs? Absolutely yes. Should Delhi have every street light lighted? Absolutely yes. Should there be verification of drivers? Yes. Should there be more sensitivity by these public transport drivers? Absolutely yes. Nobody is going to disagree with them. And every single government should be held responsible and accountable for all of these measures. If there was a Congress government in Delhi, and if there were certain measures which were their jurisdiction and they made their promises, you hold them accountable. If, for example, the Kejriwal government has come in Delhi and he has made certain promises like CCTV, and it is within his jurisdiction, and he has either failed or has delivered on those promises, you please hold him accountable, as you should. You're completely right. However, if there is something which is not the jurisdiction of a particular government, you cannot hold that government responsible.
Well,
you need to ask the question as far as the limited
on
point,
that aspect,
then, so that there is no confusion.
So you know, let me also, I agree with you. Let me also point out,
on the limited point of police, it is the central government which is accountable.
Of course, yes. It is the central government which is accountable, but please on the larger point of women's safety, it's not just the job of the police. That is the biggest part of it. Yes, there is so much more that a state can do. And let me also point out the fact that this conversation is not happening with Sheila Dikshit when she is fighting for the post of Delhi CM. This conversation is happening with Sheila Dikshit when she's fighting to become a member of parliament from the Delhi constituency, and the two are very different. She will be part of the parliament, not part of the Delhi government. So rather than saying that the Delhi government cannot do anything, the centre has to control law and order. Yes, okay. So now on that point, wait, let me go across to Karuna Nundy. Karuna Nundy, like I pointed out initially as well, this is not the first time that Sheila Dikshit has made comments which have shocked the people. There were similar comments made in 2008, in 2012 that just showed the apathy of the Chief Minister to this entire issue. What did you make of what she said today? Is that what a candidate should be telling us?
I think Sheila Dikshit, unfortunately, does not seem to have reflected on the events of 2012 and grown as a result. Today, you see most politicians actually across the board, whether it's, a lot of leaders from the Congress, other leaders from the Congress, a lot of leaders from AAP, even leaders from the BJP, bahut hua nari parvar, ab ki baar Modi sarkar, right? At least they get the talk right, right? At least they get right how they're supposed to think, Earlier, I think the attitude was कि syllabus में नहीं था. अब syllabus में आ गया है, and Sheila Dikshit has failed to read the textbook, right? So unfortunately, this sort of noblesse oblige, this kind of sort of posh speaking down from on high that we're hearing from the spokesperson as well as from Sheila Dikshit is not something that is any longer acceptable, if it ever was. The women of Delhi are citizens. The women of India are citizens. We are not somebody's sister, mother, anything else. We are citizens. It is about freedom. It is not about protection. And who is to guarantee the freedom? The freedom is in the hands of the state government and the central government. Is it about street lighting? No, it's not. Is it about police? No, it's not. These are small pieces of the pie. The Education Ministry and the Health Ministry are under the state government, as the Aam Aadmi Party has shown quite dramatically that even though they were barred from doing all sorts of other things, this is an area that they were able to perform extremely well in. And at the time, let us not forget that we had a Congress government at the center and at the state, right?
Yes.
And so the point is that had Sheila Dikshit opened up her mind a little bit and thought a little bit about these issues, she would have realized that in education and in health is the primary site of taking down the kind of mindsets that sexual violence, where sexual violence is bred. She would have taken responsibility in the future for what she could not do in the past.
Yes.
There is still time. There is still time for all of them, for all of these candidates, because we must realize that it's not people on the street that are attacking women. It is not these people on the street. It is not the absence of street lights. I'm finishing, please, Vinayak. It is people within homes, primarily. It is people that the girl or the woman know, more than 90%. So clearly, so I would really like, all candidates, particularly ones who don't seem to know what they're talking about, to go back, do their homework and come and make proper promises to the voters of Delhi before they stand for election.
Absolutely. Brinda Rige, because this question was asked by a candidate who is asking for our vote in a city like Delhi, which is considered and called often, unfortunately, as the rape capital of this country. Let's turn around and tell them, what is it that can be done? Here is a candidate who is asking us, what's your solution? You tell me, what will you do? What can a candidate, member of parliament, part of the government or in opposition do to ensure better security for women?
With all the other things that you have listed, one that is most important is to see that the judiciary, the entire criminal justice system across the country and especially Delhi actually function. Because what we see is the mindsets that are there is also the kind of mindset that Sheila Dikshit seems to have portrayed just now, that these things happen. These are happening every day. They are happening everywhere. And so what? So nothing. So that is why we're talking of make your budgetary allocations. There are so many vacancies in the judiciary, in the prosecution, in the police, in the Department of Women and Child, in the Department of Education. So when you're talking, make those budgetary allocations and you put it down somewhere that there will be proper and periodic monitoring and review so that the cases that are related to victims of rape and sexual assault and gender-based violence, domestic violence, does not go on and on for years together when we have laws that talk of speeding up the processes. We have laws that says you need to have special courts. So the first question would be, how many special courts are there across India for this? And if there are these special courts, are these judicial officers trained to address the cases that come before them, because they also sit with the same misogyny. They also speak the same sexism that we see elsewhere. So the whole issue of justice and safety that we are talking about is never delivered. And if she is going to ask for votes from the citizens of Delhi, then she has a responsibility to extend that confidence, to say that this is something I will get it done.
In fact, we thought that from what we heard from her in 2008 and 12, she too had, maybe evolved or understood what people had been saying about women's security. Because just a few days ago, she tweeted and she gave her support to a rape-free India campaign which is going on. And that's the graphics that we were just playing out just a short while ago. And she said that I completely believe in this and I think this should happen. I support the Rape-Free India campaign. But today when we decided that we should sit and talk about women's security, about what happened during Nirbhaya time and how it should be, she turns around and says, well, the Nirbhaya case was blown out of proportion. It had to be blown out of, it had to be blown up. Focus. People had to understand the brutality of it for them to know that this cannot happen again and again and again. Unfortunately, even that wasn't enough. Even today, the Nirbhaya fund goes unused. Even today, similar brutalities are carried out. Even today, those fast-track courts are not working fast enough. Even today, the crime rate is still as high. And I don't think we can just blame one party for it, because collectively that seems to be what is happening all across the country, Karuna. That what has changed? A new law may have come in, but has anything changed on ground?
Tanvi, I do think that there's so little choice between parties and between candidates who actually know what they're talking about. Not just when you talk about violence against women, but when you also talk about, for example, women being able to go out and work, right? The female labor workforce participation rate in India has dropped from about 35% in the 1990s to about 27%. It's dropped. So there are fewer women going out to work. And there are lots of studies that show, like there's a Harvard study by Rohini Singh, that shows that it's not because they don't want to, they want to, but it's the patriarchy that's stopping them. So it's getting stronger. There are links between violence and more limited access to assets, to inheritance, to jobs, to money, right? So there's a way in which I think, it's not just Delhi's women.
No, it's not.
India's women.
Correct.
Don't have so much of a choice between candidates. But there are some candidates out there. There's Project Shakti, I think, that is trying to sort of put, great candidates forward. And
but we are getting Sheila Dikshit as a candidate here. Karuna, I'm sorry I'm interrupting you.
What happened since 2012 is that there's more lip service.
Correct. And the data suggests that there are more rape cases that are coming.
The lip service now is happening across the board. Now we need performance.
Yes, but what do you do when you get a candidate who thought similarly in 2008 and 12 and now whose first reaction to when you want to have this conversation is to first blame the media for blowing something out of proportion and then shrug responsibility by saying, well, all of it is the responsibility of the center when it comes to the Delhi. The state government can do nothing. Let's have a positive, constructive conversation is all we are saying. Tell us what your solutions are going to be. Tell us how you will do things differently if you get elected this time than what you did in 2008 and what you did in 2012. Tell us why we should vote for you, how you will bring down crime against women in this country. Stop the blame game. That's how you play a new era, a better quality of politics. That's how you appeal to your voters, not by blame game and definitely not by blaming the media for highlighting a case like Nirbhaya. That case got the entire country out on the streets because people said enough is enough. And for anyone to turn around today in 2019 and say, well, those examples happen all the time, even today, just shows either we haven't changed as a country and we have obviously, in a big way, failed to tackle this crime. That's debate number one. Thank you to all of our panelists who joined us on debate number one.